guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Kent Tilley. Thanks for joining us. And today I want to talk about how much it potentially is going to cost you to retire if you're a single person in Canada and you're 65. I know that nobody is different, so the example that I'm going to give here today is not going to work or mean that much to everybody, but might sort of give you an idea of how it might look, how much income you're going to need from other sources, a bunch of other things, And at the end of the day, if you have any questions or concerned about retirement, want to make the right decisions as to when to take CPP and OAS, how to draw down your income, do you have enough, how should you be investing your money, all of those other things, please feel free to reach out to us at info@k4financial.ca. We'd be happy to talk to you and see if there's something we can do to help you make sure that you're going to be comfortable. About a month ago, I did a video on, how much or how a Canadian couple could retire with about $300,000. And I always knew that I was going to do a follow-up by talking about a Canadian single person, but I didn't really want to do the video because I actually feel kind of bad because it is so much harder for a single person to retire in Canada because now you've got all the bills by yourself. You have been building and working all by yourself trying to save about the same amount of money at the end of the day, and you do not have as many sources of a pension income from the government because you only have one, potential CVP and one potential old age security, whereas a couple will have one each. So that really adds up, and that really hurts single people in this country. Something that I've thought about for a long time was I always thought, maybe the government could help out single, retirees a little bit more by enhancing OAS for single people, for example, and saying, if you don't quite have enough, well, we've got this extra source of income because we know that bills and inflation and all these things are adding it up, making it so much harder for people to actually get by month to month. So in the example today, I'm going to try and keep it kind of simple. And what I'm going to talk about is, a 65-year-old that has decided to retire, and they've worked a long, healthy career, so they're entitled to maximum CPP at 65. They've lived in Canada for 40 years after the age of 18, so they're entitled to 100% of old age security. Now, with that being said, most people do not get all of CPP, and I'm not going to talk about the difference between delaying CPP and OAS in this video, but just know that if you actually live past about 82 or 83 in this scenario, then you would have been better off delaying CPP and OAS in the end of the day. So that sort of always becomes near the break-even point of if your longevity is going to be, sort of almost certain into your late 80s, early 90s, then you're probably going to want to think about delaying those benefits to get the enhancement on them. But in this example, I'm not actually going to do that because it's going to make it a little bit easier. Now, another thing, and I know that Adam talks about this on his channel with Parallel Wealth, and people talk to us about this all the time. They say, well, I know there's the go-go and the slow-go and the no-go phase of retirement spending or whatever. And I agree. I mean, there are different phases. You're going to be wanting to spend more money early on in retirement. Then you just sort of slowly start slowing down. Who knows exactly how that's going to look? But I'm going to talk about that in this example. So in this example, for a single person, in my sort of experience, it's somewhere between, $2,500 and $4,000 that generally they want per month after tax in retirement. And so in this case, I'm going to say from the ages of 65 until 70, they want $3,500 after tax per month. So that works out to $42,000 after tax per year. And between 75 and 80, they're going to want $3,000 a month, so $36,000 per year after tax. And 80 plus, however long they live, they want $2,500 per month after tax, which works out to $30,000 per year. Now, I'm also going to pretend that none of the money that anyone has in this circumstance is in a tax-free savings account. If you are like watching this video and you're 40 or 50 years old and you start to understand, well, this might actually be a sort of benefit to you to make sure that you build up that TFSA, because if we can lower your tax rate a little bit in retirement, then this money is going to go longer. Or if you watch my videos about saving for retirement, always super useful to take that refund you get from your RSP contribution and then put it into your tax-free savings account. That will allow us even more flexibility in retirement to make the most of your money. That's actually the best situation. But in this case, if it was just all like this, and somebody could have that much in their TFSA, they'd be better off with the TFSA. So, in order to create $42,000 worth of income after tax for that first 10 years of retirement, you're actually going to need about $50,000 of pre-tax income, because your average tax rate is going to be somewhere around 16%. In order to create the $42,000, or the $36,000, sorry, after tax, you're going to need about $42,000. It's all province dependent, but they're close. So in that case, now your tax rate, your average tax rates drop down to about 14%. So you're going to need that $42,000 pre-tax. And then in the final stages, your tax rate, average tax rate, is going to drop a little bit more. You're going to be paying about 13%. So you're roughly going to need about $34,500 in pre-tax income to create $30,000 in after-tax income. Not taking into account, pension tax credits and all of these other things, just trying to keep it simple. So we know that. But we also know that you are going to have some income. You're going to have CPP and old age security income. And in this case, and I just talked about this, the government has just introduced an enhanced OAS for anybody over 75 years old. I'm not actually going to play that into this scenario, but just know that might still be around. They're enhancing old age security by 10 or 15%. I think it's 10% a year, about $800 a year for anybody that's over 65. Now, if you worked that long, full career and maxed out your CPP, which the average Canadian hasn't, but in this case I'm going to say that you did, then you are going to have $1,921 in pre-tax income with your CPP and OAS. And that is always going to be indexed with inflation. So that's going to go up every year with inflation. So this last year, it's actually seen some pretty, sort of significant increases. However, obviously everything costs way more. So, that's all relative. Now, so we know, okay, yes, we've got that money. And what does that work out to? Sorry, that works out to just over $23,000 a year in income that you're going to have. So you need to find a way to sort of add on top of that to get what you need. So what do you need? Between 65 and 70, you need $26,948 per year to be able to pull out of your RSP. Then it will be taxed, leaving you with that $3,500 per month. Between 75 and 80, in order to get that $3,000 a month, you need $18,948 per year coming out of your RSP before tax to create that after-tax income that you need. And from 80 on, you need $11,448 per year. So if I just added this up, we're not getting any rate of return other than matching inflation. So let's say you had a perfect bank account that just matched inflation. Inflation was 2.5%, and you got 2.5% returns or interest on your income every single year. Then, because if you have it just sitting in cash doing absolutely nothing, then you're going to be losing purchasing power every year. You're actually going to need way more money than this to actually keep up with the lifestyle that you want. So in this case, if it was just cash that was keeping up with inflation, that first stretch of time, you'd need almost $270,000, $269,480 to be exact. That 5-year stretch between 75 and 80, you need $94,740. And the final stretch, if you live till 90, is $114,480. Or a better way to look at it is $11,448 per year. So if you live to 85, for example. So if you add all of that up, that's close to $500,000. That's $478,700 that you actually need just to get that if you're matching inflation. If you're not, you would need way more sitting in cash. However, the way to, I guess, reduce that number is to actually have investments that are making you some money over time. So what I did here is just say, let's say we can get roughly a 2.5% rate of return above inflation. So let's say if inflation is 2.5%, you can get a 5% rate of return. Your real rate of return is now about 2.5%. And in that case, you can drop that number down to about $350,000 that you would need in retirement to create this as long as you have full CPP. So, that's sort of what you can expect. I know this isn't a perfect example. Nobody is exactly like this, but this is sort of what I would be shooting for if I was planning for retirement, or really looking at your spending and say, can I live on less if I'm not going to be able to save that much? And knowing that that's going to be the case. So anyways, I hope you learned something. Good luck out there. If you have any questions, please reach out. We'd be happy to hear from you. And please like and subscribe. We'll see you soon.